A couple things that need attention right now. I don't know how many of you grow grapes. I can't address how to prune grapes for grape production, but I can tell you that grapevines are pretty easy to prune for the ornamentals. You follow, and I didn't bring one in with me, but let's just pretend this is a grapevine. Go all the way back on the cane until you've gone to 2 buds down, and cut right up above the second bud from the point of origin. That's the way to control them. You cut them back 3 years. You'll see a swelling where the node is, not like this. There's an actual bit of a swelling on the bark of the grapevine. Go just a little bit above that and make the cut. So that's how you would control grapevines, and they come back like gangbusters. They're very vigorous growers, so you don't have to worry about taking off too much. If you're trying to train it to grow across the trellis, you can, make your cut a little bit further out, but typically just control the size and go back to 2 nodes to make the cut. Same thing with wisteria. Who has wisteria? They're great plants, but August, September, October, you got to go out every 2 weeks and snip a bunch of it back because they grow like crazy. This is the time of the year when I get up on a ladder, because typically they're up on an arbor or a trellis, and I cut those new vines, pretty much the new vines, back to 2 nodes. I go 2 buds up from the point of origin and make a cut. Over time, if you continue to make those cuts, that's when it's like a fruiting spur. This is where the wisteria flowers will bloom. They don't bloom on new wood, kind of like a fruit tree. You wouldn't see flowers growing out of these brand new wisteria nodes. You would see foliage growing out of them. But after pruning back a couple of years pruning back hard, those flowering areas will grow, and eventually you'll have the flowers on them. So,
do you have to prune to get flowers?
I don't know. If you don't prune, you're going to have a jungle. The question was, do you have to prune a wisteria to get flowers? I'm not sure. I don't think so. But if you don't prune a wisteria, there's no point in having one. It can grow 10 or 4 feet a year. It'll swallow your house. I don't think they have dwarf varieties.
So I can let it go 2 years and then start doing it. I have a 20-foot long thing I need to cover, so if I keep cutting it back, it's going to be a very full bush.
Okay, so maybe only go back 7 or 8 nodes. Okay, you don't have to, that's, so once the wisteria is established, then you want to prune it hard. If you're training it, then yeah, you want some of those vines to grow out along your trellis, but you want to tip it every year to promote some lateral growth as well. Yes?
Mine has never bloomed, except for last year. I had one tiny little lousy. So what am I doing wrong?
Sink or swim? I don't know. Try feeding it really heavily. Like a 5-5-5 or a balanced fertilizer. 10-10-10, organic. Okay. Yes?
I saw a hillside of forsythia that had gotten established and taken over, and they cut it right down to the ground. And on the second year, it had the most beautiful yellow spikes. I mean, they were just absolutely gorgeous. The second year growth, it was just solid flowers. It was
That's
really
what you want out of a forsythia.
It was totally different than most people's
Most
jungle, but it was
Most
really
people try to
spectacular.
control them. The forsythia's natural growth form is to grow tall and kind of fountain-like. It grows
Yes.
tall and then they flop over.
It's
And
just
you've got the
unbelievable.
yellow flowers on them. So every year you want to take some of the oldest stuff out of them so that it isn't getting so big that it flops over. And you prune, so timing is, in spite of what Cass Turnbull said, Timing is important on some things, including forsythia. If you prune forsythia hard now, you're cutting off all the flower buds. Prune forsythias after they bloom, because they bloom on year-old wood. So the new growth that it puts on this year is where the flowers are going to be next year. Yes?
Yes, timing on pruning of fruit trees for this area, I'm kind of new to the area, apples and pears, and a cherry tree, the timing for pruning.
Anytime between now and then the flowers blooming. You don't want to, you want to get to them before they bloom. So you've got a big window. Yes?
The water sprouts on an apple tree. If you have them, what do you do with them? You just,
Same thing you would do with a hydrangea. You take a third of them out, you shorten a third, and you leave a third. 9 times out of 10, a fruit tree that has lots of water sprouts has them because they were pruned too hard. So cut that, I don't know if you've been doing it or if these are...
an arborist.
an arborist. I don't recognize you. We all make, I mean, you know, we all make
But if
mistakes.
you cut them back, then those become fruiting, could turn into fruiting.
This is, yeah, a fruiting spur formed, and the plums, not plums, but pears are, you think of them the same way as an apple. This fruiting spur formed, this is 2-year-old wood. Apples and pears bear fruit on 2-year-old wood on fruiting spurs. They're short, compressed branches, not like this, but very short, compressed branches. They will form on water sprouts if you tip them, you know, to encourage that lateral growth. So, but to get them under control, so they're there because the tree was probably pruned too hard. You can get it back under control by taking a third out every year and shortening a third every year. And over time, and the older the fruit tree, the less you want, the less percentage you want to take out. Think of a 15-year-old who falls down a flight of stairs versus a 65-year-old that falls down a flight of stairs. Who's going to heal faster? Same way with an old fruit tree versus a young fruit tree. A pruning cut is a wound. These venerable old heritage fruit trees that we have around here should be pruned very carefully and conservatively, 10%. Tell them that. That's your demand.
How long do the trees live?
There are some apple trees on the peninsula that are over 120 years old and still producing. So, yeah.
We have some escalated trees, and right now they're on like 12-foot runners, a lot that far. But they created all kinds of new branches in between, and it didn't seem like you'd want those on escalated.
No, you want that branch structure. This is pretty specific, but you just need to prune them more often. It's the nature of the beast there. You have to, they're going to put up water sprouts, and you have to just keep cutting them back, cutting them back.